Yo, so you know what? It is a pretty weird situation for the 49ers. The thing that's kind of weird is our fan base. It's very divided. They got your team Jimmys, your team Treys. There's just a lot of ridiculous crap that you see through Twitter, through social media, through whatever. It's like you choose a side. If you don't, they're against you. It's kind of like, I don't know, man. I'm on I'm on a different side. I'm not even choosing Jimmy. I'm just choosing the team in general because I want what's best for the 49ers. I know it's not popular to ride with Jimmy Garoppolo. I know that he's taken us places and he hasn't got the job done. I know that part. I know the reality of it. I'm not losing hope on this team. I believe in Trey Lance. I believe he's the future. Just an accident just happened. But the questions that's been going on with the 49ers is, why were we holding on Jimmy Garoppolo for so long? And people are just wondering, is Shanahan not trusting Trey Lance? That's been the question through the offseason. Why is he still here? But then this freak accident just happens on Sunday, and you're figuring what could have been if we would have had Nate Sudfeld. It would have been a disaster if you would have just had Nate Sudfeld over Jimmy Garoppolo. Now that you have Jimmy Garoppolo and you've kind of had that freak accident, you kind of look more of a genius. A lot of the people, including my own fan base, a lot of them don't like Jimmy. There's a lot of them that don't like Trey Lance. But we all have to come into a common ground. We all have to come into some type of terms that we want to support our fucking team. I get that some of you guys are upset with different sides. I'm upset at the fact that half this fan base that we got ain't supporting Trey Lance enough, man. They're not giving this kid a chance. And that is sad. The fact that you're not even giving the guy a chance to prove something is pathetic. You see this one person that I saw on a fucking tweet. That guy is a piece of shit. Like, what kind of guy says that he's glad that Trey Lance is injured? That is by far the dumbest shit I've ever seen on Twitter. And I hope to God that somebody fucking puts in bad reviews on that guy's barbershop and makes those other people know better that not to fuck with this guy's business, because that is some fucking shit, bro. You put shit like that, bro, nobody's gonna fucking want to mess with you, bro. Like, it's better to keep your mouth shut, because, dude, social media, they're gonna expose the shit out of you. They're gonna make you a fool. But the problem with this team, we have all the talent in the world. It's just we can't stay healthy. This team can't even stay healthy. If Shanahan knew what was working and stuck with it, this offense can go places. But the problem with this team, it's kind of ridiculous how Shanahan just tries to switch up plays and doesn't even stick with what's working. The problem with Shanahan throughout his coaching career is we have a lead and we blow it away. We have a formula. He abandons that formula. That's the problem with him. I feel like this team is stacked. They can go somewhere. It's just Shanahan needs to put his ego aside and try to make the best play call decision. Like, there's chances to redeem yourself. Winning a Super Bowl would put silence the doubters away. But when you look at it this way, this team, it's pretty much in the same situation like last year. Jimmy Garoppolo is back because nobody wants him. The interesting part of this season, you can make a movie out of Hollywood. Like if he wins the Super Bowl, this can be one of the greatest Hollywood stories. Because this is why I'm saying this. There's no possibility yet because we played 2 games. But if you can imagine, like, what if Jimmy wins a Super Bowl for the 49ers? What if this team plays inspiring? What if something like that happens? It's a great problem to have. But then you realize, is Shanahan going to really bring back Jimmy G even though he won a Super Bowl? That's going to be one of the most interesting off seasons. And then maybe in the near future, like in those 20 or 30 years down the road, they're going to make a movie out of something like that, where a guy like Garoppolo ends up becoming one of those guys in the, like, gives another opportunity. Like, just imagine this story where you were given chances, you couldn't stay healthy, and then they get your replacement, and you handle it like a pro, and then eventually they were telling you that they're moving forward, and you have yet to leave the team. So you had all offseason to recover, and you were waiting for your trade market, and nobody wanted you. And then you were waiting for trade offers or anything like that. Your agent tried so hard, but then the media's been talking about you. They've been saying that you weren't quite a good teammate. And then there's this thing going on. And it seemed like after the preseason was over, you had a decision to make. You were going to either take a pay cut or go elsewhere or get cut. So you decided to do a pay cut to bet yourself. And then 2 games later, the starting quarterback's injured. This kind of gives a story. Like, this can be a Cinderella story. This can be one of those movies where you don't write these in Hollywood. It hasn't happened since the 1999 Rams or the 2017 Eagles. It's like you get one of those stories. And it's interesting. Like, what if Garoppolo wins a Super Bowl? Does that change our perspective of our team? Dude, I just look at it more like if we win a Super Bowl, that's all that matters. I don't give a shit about the quarterback issues. Dude, if you win the Super Bowl, you're the defending champions. You got a 6 Lombardi. That's the greatest feeling in the world. I would rather have a quarterback problem with winning a Super Bowl than to be coming up short. You know, as a 49ers fan, a lifelong fan, I barely remember a Super Bowl when I was a kid. So this would be something that I could remember for the rest of my life if that was the case. But I'd rather have a quarterback problem with Garoppolo winning a Super Bowl than never actually having my team win a Super Bowl with this situation. Dude, this is a good problem to have. So I support the team's decision. I support who we got at quarterback. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm only going to ride with this team because that's my team. I don't care who the quarterback is. As long as we're winning games, as long as we're supporting this guy, that's all that matters. So Jimmy's our guy. And I get it. Jimmy is like that hard relationship, you know, that ex-girlfriend, the one that you've tried to move on, but you held on to her because you wanted to make sure this relationship was going to work out from your previous, and then your previous relationship got to become a disaster, and then you make that phone call and say, hey baby, I was just kidding, I'll get back with you. Because that broad dumped him. That was like maybe the relationship from the previous one didn't work out for whatever reason, but you had the ex on the speed dial. That's what Jimmy Garoppolo is. Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of like that one roommate that just doesn't do shit. Jimmy Garoppolo is like that one guy that doesn't pass a test but gets some people to help him pass the test. Jimmy Garoppolo is that one guy who comes late to school or comes late and goes to a party. Jimmy Garoppolo is that one kind of guy that has storytelling, kind of like a Joe Namath for a Jim McMahon story. Like, you figure, like, that's kind of interesting. Like, you don't see a quarterback in today's NFL like that as much, you know? You don't see those kind of characters like that. Like, in the 80s, you had a quarterback just like Jim McMahon, who had personality, wasn't as talented, but people liked him. But he rubbed people the wrong way in certain ways. Then you had a guy like Brett Favre with a personality, and it worked just fine because he had the talent, but he was just a gunslinger. That guy was consistent. You don't have much of those players. Like, you look at the way Garoppolo played. Garoppolo gives you that Jim McMahon. Like, he's just not going to give you the stats, but he's going to give you the wins. Like, I think in this era, he is the Jim McMahon of this era. He's the modern era of Jim McMahon. I just think that he's popular. He's a little cocky without even trying to be cocky. He's a media darling. Like, everybody likes him. Everybody finds him popular. So it's like, it's weird. And some guys are kind of awkward, man. It's weird that they have a thing for Jimmy. Like, they rather let this guy date his girl or sister or anything like that. That's just how weird it is. But I'm telling you, this could be one of the most interesting seasons that we go back to Jimmy. Jimmy can be the hero, or Jimmy can be the reason why our season's over. But let me know what y'all think. And as always, go Niners.